Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining another Mitek Identity Innovation series, where we get really to go close and personal with people and companies that are changing the face of the world as we know it today, using identity verification and technology in the broader sense to build beautiful customer-led solutions. So the aim of these sessions is for you to ask questions from our panel and an informal and open discussion. So please post any questions you have in the chat box and we'll try to get through most of them if we can. I'm Joe Blomendaal, and today I'm pleased to be joined and want to welcome the team, or some of the team at Anna Money, who've built a very different SME business bank. So welcome, Claire, welcome, Andy.
Hi, Joe.
Hi,
Thanks
Joe.
for having us.
So to kick us off, would you please give us an intro to your roles at Anna Money? I don't know, Andy, let's start with you.
I can start, yeah. So I lead product design at Anna. So that basically means that anything to do with the kind of the experience of the product. So the way we're structured is we organize ourselves in teams around product areas. So essentially I'm a bit of a sort of floater across all of the teams, so kind of get very much involved across the board. So yeah, that's what I do.
Thank you very much. How about you, Claire?
Hi, I head up the customer experience team. So I very much look after the human element at Anna. People might know that we're a hybrid between the AI and the human side of customer care. So my team are there for the experience, to support, and we work 24/7.
Wow.
And I'd love to say that I'm responsible for the AI, but we have some very clever data scientists that do that. So.
Very clever.
And you probably need them. So I think that is a key element. Andy, just zooming on that a bit, tell us a bit more about sort of Anna Money, how it started.
What it's all about.
What the purpose is, and what the traction is. I mean, especially lately with the crisis that we ended up in.
Yeah. Okay. So sort of zooming out a little bit. So for anybody that doesn't know about Anna Money, so Anna actually stands for Absolutely No Nonsense Admin. And I think people would know us really because I think we do things a little bit different to some of the other finance apps and experiences that are out there in the market. Anna is specifically targeted at the small to medium-sized business, and we are very much, I would say, at the core, all about sort of supporting and enabling small businesses to grow, essentially by taking away the business admin side of things. So that sounds very high level, but essentially the product is built around kind of a combination of banking, invoicing, expense management, so sort of really looking at kind of bookkeeping, but also moving into the space of sort of filing taxes and so on. So a lot of people use this for very different things, but essentially if you were to kind of use Anna kind of for everything that it has to offer, it would be all about putting your banking in one place, making it really easy for you to keep digital records as you go and stay on top of invoicing and that side of things, and ultimately be able to kind of prepare books, whether that's to work with an accountant or to file directly from Anna. So I think the thing that really makes Anna unique, and I'll let Claire talk a little bit more to this, is we've sort of designed it in such a way where we've kind of hidden the machine. Really, the experience that customers have with Anna is defined, I would say, by the fact that the kind of core UI is chat-based. So you can talk to Anna as an assistant. And so in terms of our AI and sort of how the product works, a lot of it is done through chat, so you can create invoices through chat and so on. But very, very quickly, customers are handed over to real people, so our team of agents in Cardiff. I could talk about kind of the traction, but I think it's probably a good link for Claire to talk about a little bit about what happens with the team over there in Cardiff as well.
Yeah, I think that is, I mean, having that combination of the human and the machine, by the way, sounds a bit similar to some of the stuff Mitek, obviously. It sounds like you've built that value proposition around offering the part of being a business that you typically don't look forward to because that's not what you are doing, right? If you start a business. On the other hand, it is so real. So going from this idea, do I want to be self-employed, a freelancer, to having, what's the first step? The first step is get your admin done, getting the bank account done. That's what it's all about. But that's not easy to do. You've turned that around, haven't you, Claire? That's really where the differentiator is.
Yeah, very much so. I think with the customers, they appreciate being able to have access to that human at the other end of the app. We have upskilled the app, and we've trained the Anna bot, as we affectionately call her. Although it's not a her, I'll rephrase that before somebody shouts at me. But it's an it.
She's an it.
Yeah, definitely. But we've upskilled the Anna bot so that customers can self-serve. At the very start, the agents on my team were very much involved in helping to upskill, so that a lot of what we would then class as the mundane tasks would get passed to the bots, and the more juicy elements or the more conversational style of queries that would come through to the customer experience team. And it's really fascinating to see how it's grown. My team started off, there was a team of us that were 4, and we're now just shy of 28.
Wow.
Like I said, they cover 24/7. They've all come into the team with, I think there were 2 that had some experience in financial services. So they've, really taken this on board. And for us, it's always about the experience and that customer contact, the conversation, how we can assist them. We want it to be engaging. We want to educate the customer. We want to educate ourselves, because some of our team members have also become business owners, sole traders in their own right whilst working at Anna, so that they can experience what it's like to become an Anna customer from both sides. But yeah, it's just that customer interaction, and we're striving to be known, to be the best at that, and it's a really exciting journey for all of the team.
So you mentioned that they're available 24/7. Do people actually need it at 3 a.m. or is there?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. When we started it off, the night element, we call our night shift the night owls, because that's very much what they are. And the customers, it was, a slow uptake. But then once they knew that we were there 24/7, and we would get customers testing us out just to see if there was somebody there. It's got busier and busier. And, the team themselves, they've upskilled themselves in becoming onboarding experts, risk experts, fraud analysts. They also look after the social media. So, there's a variety of tasks that they'd keep themselves busy with overnight. But I have to say, the customers coming through, it's pretty busy up until about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It might quieten off for about an hour or 2, and then it starts to build up again. So it's become popular.
Brilliant.
And we get some very interesting conversations at night time, as you can imagine.
I'd be interested in some examples in a minute. But Andy, so the onboarding experience, what do you think is key in that, in being successful in getting the first impression right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for us, we've put a lot of effort into trying to make onboarding as pain-free and as welcoming as possible. And I think this is testament to sticking to the paradigm of chat and conversation. So, I mean, firstly, for us, speed and ease is really, really important. We've got, I think if we have customers going through now fully automated, so without any hiccups along the way, it's about 8 minutes to open an account. And even with kind of human intervention, I think we sort of middle out at about 20 minutes, something like that. So it's super fast.
And it's all done through the chat. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. So literally, you download the app and you're straight into chat. So the ID stage, everything is handled as part of a conversation. And now the beauty of that is that you can have human intervention at any point. So we spend a lot of time perfecting our onboarding process and kind of finding all those moments where if there is a glitch or we see something which isn't quite right, or the customer hasn't quite understood something, that then we can hand it over to an agent to continue the onboarding. But we're gradually, like Claire said, we're sort of training Anna to be better at all of the steps of the onboarding process, so it sort of flows and we can handle any sort of situation during onboarding.
Yes, because that is, I'm hearing you, sometimes you do need to hand off. So there's this balance, really. We see that in our world with a lot of our clients, obviously, the balance between how much friction do you introduce versus how much security or frictionless do you want to become. Claire, how does that work in your world? When do you decide more friction is necessary, and how does that balance work?
I think the one good thing at Anna, it's always an ongoing discussion across the wider team. So whilst we do work in teams, and Andy beautifully put it that he's kind of a floater, it's a gorgeous term. But in respect with that, it just enables us to have those ongoing conversations where, this is becoming not so much an issue, but how can we make the flow better? How can we get that seamless approach? How can we give the customer experience team more time so that they can have more valued conversation with the customer, and we can improve elements of the onboarding journey that we just thrash it out together. And I think that's the beauty. We've got at Anna a flat structure, so it gives us the ability to do things to, we'd say it, get shit done. And, it just means that from somebody that came from a corporate environment previously, and there was so much red tape and so many different sign-offs that you had to get change to happen. Things happen absolutely, yesterday at Anna. So, the conversation's constantly ongoing as to how we can improve and change.
And I think as you scale the business, do you see a trend of people becoming more aware of the fact that they're sharing personal information and sort of asking questions around how is that going to be handled, etc.? I don't know, Andy, do you have any?
I think people are sensitive to it. I think what we've noticed is, particularly as we have a lot of people signing up who, maybe already have experience and understand the difference between, opening a personal account or signing into any kind of app where you're asked for data versus, a business account, or, from a sort of business financials point of view, obviously compliance is really key. I think people are quite accepting of it, and it seems to me, some of the examples we've seen where people are, maybe have a bad experience. I think often they might put that down to their own inexperience of, kind of starting out for a business first time. Okay, I didn't know I would need to provide that information. So I think people are actually quite sort of accepting of it. And we've had situations where people have signed up and they've, maybe moved money across, and they've not been able to access the funds because they've not fully gone through compliance yet. And I think in the most part, people kind of accept that there needs to be, that the kind of their data is really kind of important, but also the sort of, the care and the, the sort of the emphasis we put on security. You know, it's just, I think people kind of accept it.
Especially if it's wrapped into that very personal sort of conversation. Because you once before, Andy, I think you said the onboarding is more of a conversation than anything else. And yeah, Claire, does that trigger anything else? I mean, you say people dialing in late at night or during the day, getting close and personal with the clients. There must be good stories out there as well.
Oh, we've had all sorts. I think just going back to that point, just before I go into some of them, that's where we tend, to come in to hold their hand. So if they are upset or curious, or maybe frustrated as to why we're asking for certain things, that's where we come in to educate them. Because whilst we're an admin assistant, we've also got the responsibility of being regulated, and doing the right thing to protect them as much as us. So, with the help of the team in London, we've got some really clever writers who come up with some fantastic articles and blogs. It just helps us to expand and tell them the story behind why we do some of this. And it certainly helps my team as well. But yeah, going on to some of the stories. A lot of people think Anna is a she. So we've had numerous photos sent through to us at all times of the day. We've had quite a few marriage proposals. I think that we're up to about 6 or 7, and a few of them through to our male team members who find it quite amusing when they're referred to as Anna.
Wow.
We've had people asking us to help them to find train times, flights, and you know what, we do it. If they want us to help us, to help them with something, it's a bit of fun for us, and it just gives us that opportunity to have that bit of Anna humour.
Yes.
We've had customer ask for a pizza, so we delivered them a pizza, with a couple of nice extras to go with it. But it just makes the day when you get something like that coming through.
Yeah.
I think one other example which was amazing, one of our customers, they had an issue with their payment and paying a card in a supermarket. I won't name them because there's quite a few out there, but they had an issue with their card. They were sending us selfies whilst they were going around the supermarket whilst we were trying to resolve it with guess what aisle that we're in, and then we had to guess what was in their shopping baskets. We tried phoning the supermarket at the time just to pay for their shopping, to make it as easy for them as possible. We weren't able to, but they were such good fun and really patient and kind about the whole experience. So we treated them to their next shopping, and we sent them a voucher out at the end of it just to say thank you and for having some fun with us. So yeah, that's what makes it, and I think that's what comes across in a lot of our reviews and what the customers say, and helped us to win our last award as well.
Oh wow, yeah, tell us a bit more about that, Andy. I mean, by the way, I wouldn't mind working on your team, Claire. That sounds like fun. What was the award you won?
Well, Claire could probably talk about the award, actually, because it was really, it was an award for customer experience, customer service excellence, and I mean, Claire, that's really your space.
It was fantastic. It was with FS Tech, and we won it on the customer experience, as Andy mentioned, the excellence. And I think it was the combination of how we approach customer care, customer service, with the whole conversational style and working together in the overall experience being seamless between the AI and the experience with the humans. But I think the judges, they just commented on, this is a financial service, it's an admin assistant for businesses, but at the same time, it's fun. And, for the team themselves, they just surpass everything that they do, everything that's thrown at them, they take it on board. And, there's so much more that we've got to do and to give. but none of this would be possible without the customer experience team in Cardiff, and the wider team that help us to make it happen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Just
Go
to
ahead,
add to
Andy.
that, I think I think one of the things, as we've sort of said all along, that really defines us is this availability of service. And I think when you kind of look across the sort of the fintech world, I think a lot of apps or services or tools that are provided sort of are done in such a way to almost remove access to service. So yes, you can self-serve and you can do all of these tasks yourself. But then if something goes wrong, often you can find yourself without any service to solve the problem. And the way I like to think of it is that we've sort of turned that a little bit inside out, and we've kind of made it possible for the service to be flexible based on the customer's context. So,
Yes.
That's really important for anybody who's starting out and, maybe doesn't have the business case or, doesn't have the criteria that perhaps a high street bank might consider necessary for, for opening an account. We sort of have the flexibility to kind of understand our customers and respond. But then equally, when there are sort of significant events, as with the recent events with COVID, we're able to be very flexible and react very quickly, and be able to sort of just respond to the challenges that our customers have.
Yes.
Quicker, let's say, that if you had to rely on technology to do that.
Yeah, what we've seen is a lot of the traditional sort of digital flows are just more digitization of what was happening in the physical world, and this is true digitization, turning it into a conversation. I'm just going to have a quick peek at the questions. Here's one come in. Andy, Claire, does Anna Money benchmark themselves against any of the other SME banking giants when it comes to client onboarding? Some names mentioned here: Barclays, Santander, HSBC, etc. Don't know who wants to give it a shot. It's close to what we were just talking about, Andy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it more from, I would say, benchmarking experience. Obviously, we've got kind of KPIs that we're working towards to get people through, with the right approval rates and at the right time, the speed. But yeah, I'm guessing it may be a little bit before my time, but I imagine those benchmarks were probably set quite early on. Claire, I don't know if you are.
Yeah, definitely. With that question, it's interesting because we're the banking giants. We're not one of those yet. We've got huge aspirations, but to be in competition, and we do get a lot of customers that come to us from the likes of some of the mainstream banks, and also some of the fintech competitors as well. And I think for us, it's around service. For some of them, it's around the ease of opening the account. One customer came to us recently. She had tried to approach one of, I won't name them, but I used to work with them. They went to one of the banking giants. They weren't able to get an appointment to open up an account until September. So that made them look at who else was out there. And I think, what's happened recently with coronavirus, it's certainly not helping because there are a lot of branches that are closed. So that's where we would win at the moment in respect of the ease of being able to onboard, to know that they have got dedicated support there 24/7, and to have that exposure. So for us, it's certainly a winning factor for us at the moment, and hopefully going forward.
Absolutely. And there's another question coming. What other admin areas are you looking forward to expand into or considering?
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose our strategy really is to look at the full sort of service portfolio to support small businesses. So at the moment, making tax digital is kind of key for us. So being able to help our customers kind of take care of their books, or probably put it another way to say, take care of our customers' books for them. So right now the product automatically matches transactions to to expenses and sales. So the immediate area is around tax calculation and filing. But in the future, who knows? I mean, we want to kind of expand into other areas. I know that particularly customers do look for financing, whether that's invoice factoring or short-term financing. I think particularly for smaller businesses, that's kind of key to kind of maintain like a good financial health, as business can be a little bit up and down, but also I think a big area that we've as we've talked about already, a big area for us is being able to offer advice and support to people, to learn how to do business. But also maybe in the future some kind of outsourcing of other functions that maybe larger businesses would also look for. I don't know, it's really hard to say at this stage. I think we're kind of exploring the full kind of ecosystem of the small business, small medium-sized business at the moment.
And being so close to them, it's easy to find out and figure out what else is on their mind, what type of questions they're asking. So taking this a little bit closer to my world, how important is sort of the IDV, the identity verification piece in the onboarding? Don't know, Claire, Andy, who?
Well, I mean, I can talk about it from an experience point of view. Again, the IDV bit, for us, it's the only sort of physical step, let's say, in an otherwise digital, fully digital onboarding experience. And so it's probably the only real, from the customer's perspective, it's the only real kind of point of friction where we really rely on them to have, what they need. So we've made it really as flexible as possible. That was kind of like one of the big criteria, was to make sure that, we can accept what the customer's likely to have on them. But that also being able to embed the ID check into the chat flow. So again, it feels natural. It's fun actually to do. I think anybody signing up would actually quite enjoy that step. It's kind of like one of those sort of magic moments. So obviously it's very, very important in terms of being able to get our customers to an open account. But equally it needs to be painless, and I think we've succeeded in making it pretty painless.
Is that what you see in the reviews as well, Claire? It's not a drop-off point, or people get stuck? No,
well, sometimes they can, being totally honest, and that depends on what they're presenting to us. We're, constantly looking at how we can improve it to make it as easy as possible, and to make sure that if there are any glitches, that they disappear quickly. But what we do have, again, I suppose it's the flexibility of the agent, so that if they do get stuck, that's where automatically it will go straight through to one of the humans who will pick it up. And, with the customer experience team, how we operate is within chat, it's within the app. So we're not a call center. We do respond to emails, we respond to social media. We've got a great group of customers that are what we call our early birds, at Anna, who have been with us from the start and continue to grow. So, we get a lot of queries that will go through there around the onboarding. But if anybody does get stuck, what I was trying to say, my team, they don't shy away from picking up the phone. So if they do require that hand-holding to go through that process, that's what we'll do. They can either have a call straight away, they can book in a call. or we will try and guide them through it within chat so that we take them through step by step and get them onboarded as quickly as possible. But I think one other factor where, you know, we've tried to make it easy for customers, because we're not a bank, you know, we're not going down that route of asking them for a business plan. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. And especially for those that are just starting off, that are new to business. And maybe, you know, that's one of the things that they haven't put together yet, is their business plan. So, you know, that's, again, definitely something that doesn't block them from getting what they need with Anna.
Unbelievable. So we've been talking for 30 minutes now. We haven't talked about admin, banking itself at all. It's all about the customer and the client, and it's super inspirational. I think that's a great starting point. And if you stand in their shoes, lots of us have been there at some point. It really makes a difference when you start building out the solution. So we only have 1 or 2 more minutes. Claire, anything you'd like to share wrapping up? What's your favorite part of working at Anna Money?
I think the favorite part, I mentioned it earlier on, it is the ability to get stuff done. As I mentioned, I've worked in corporate financial institutions previously, and it could be a frustration where you really wanted to make change happen for the customer, for the colleague. And it was just near on impossible. So for me, it's that ability to be able to Slack or call from the chief executive all the way across the company, and the rest, you know, from the bottom up, everyone can make it happen. So that's the beauty for me. But as well, the ability, you know, we do it at the right time. But to have fun in what we do, that's massive. The world's way too serious at the moment, and for a long, long time. So, you know, if we can make business fun, and we can educate, and we can excite them in a way that other banks don't do, that sounds a bit wrong, sorry. But yeah, you know, then let's do it.
Must be the same for you, Andy. I mean, Claire gets very close to the clients, but you're building a brilliant product. What's your favorite part of doing that?
I would say, I mean, you know, firstly, I think, you know, the brand and what it stands for, and you know, how it kind of communicates, gives you a great starting point to think about the product, you know, and bringing that promise to life within the product. You know, it is. Our mission is really to kind of have more fun, less admin, and that's what we want our customers to feel that the experience is like with Anna. So, you know, as much as possible, you know, we have to take away from the customer. We have to sort of surprise them and kind of give them these moments where, you know, effectively the sort of the headache, the pain of admin's just been removed. So I think that's a really good territory for product design, but also I think just in terms of as a business and as a team, the way that we work together, there's a real kind of culture of experimentation. You know, we Claire and her team and my team work very, very closely together on a number of levels. You know, firstly, in terms of the design process, you know, we always involve agents. You know, because they know the customer.
They're talking to them all the time, yeah.
Exactly. So we involve agents in the design process. We do sprints with across the business, you know, when we're in the early stages. But that also, you know, having the eyes and ears, anecdotally as well as from a data point of view, understanding the kind of the problems that the customers might be encountering, or unique situations that we would never be able to imagine. The short sort of feedback loop, I think, is something that makes working with Anna like a real pleasure. Actually, it's a great design challenge.
Well done. I could talk about this for hours with you guys. We've come to the top of the hour, so I mean, thank you very much for joining our ID Innovator series. Specifically, Claire, Andy, thank you very much for joining us. I wish you all the best at Anna.
Thanks, Joe.
And yeah, thanks for bringing us into your world just a little bit more.
You're welcome.
We'll be back in a few weeks' time with another Q&A session. So stay tuned for another invite out there. Thanks, guys. Stay
Thank you.
safe. Bye
Thank
for now.
you. Bye.